So fingers crossed. But hello, everyone who is joining the live and watching it afterwards. Welcome to today's episode, which is called Models and Models, where it's literally just me, a model, loosely. People always ask what I've done with regards to modeling. Not much. It's all very local, very small shit. And then I'm building models. This is the Kingdom Death series, so I'm doing hold on, is this gonna work? No, it's not, because I don't have my regular camera, but I'm doing essentially I think it's Echoes of Death? Yeah, Echoes of Death. And this is Echoes of Death 2. So we're gonna be building a couple of these things while I sit around and answer your guys' questions with regards to tabletop gaming and all sorts of shenaniganery and things like that. I apologize for being so greasy, by the way. It's summer, sunscreen season, so we're out here, wearing sunscreen, which you should be too. I will die on the hill of good skincare, mostly because I spent so much time trying to assess what a good skincare routine would be when I was a kid, and I never really I spent hours and hours watching, oh my god, what's his fuck? His name is Hiram or something like that. He was a very prominent a very prominent YouTuber. I don't think he ever did short form. Where I learned all about skincare in a flurry of just watching shit for a couple months, and then bought all the stuff for it, continued on that routine to this day, and right now I cannot remember or tell you if I tried what anything that I currently own or put on my face does. I just know that I'm supposed to do it because younger high school me made it possible. Or told me that I should. Notster, hey, saying, oh, hey, hi. Ah, damn, captions aren't on YouTube. Ah, shit, are they not? I can bring that up with the YouTube team and kind of recommend that they do captions for vertical shorts, because they are really trying, or vertical live streams rather, because they're really trying to push vertical live streams as a thing, but not having captions would be pretty inhibiting, especially when it comes to a short form audience, because short form audiences fucking love captions. Here's a tip, by the way, if any of you guys are planning on becoming content creators, add captions to everything. There is a stupidly large percentage of people who just watch shorts and TikToks and things like that muted, and so if you have captions on, it helps a lot with that. There are people who will full on just skip past a video if it doesn't have captions on it, and is basically whether or not it's easy to hear, right? They just don't have captions on, and so they don't want to stick around. It's also partially an ADHD attention keeping thing, because if you have captions on, then you have something to watch with your eyes, even if it's just a talking head video. So, but yeah, welcome in, everybody. Bad Girls Play Hearts, welcome in, saying hi. Hello, and then Lukic is here, same with Alex. So today we are building, I called it Models and Models, because I'm building a model, and I have modeled once or twice. I'm doing the Echoes of Death 2 from Kingdom Death. You guys are not going to be able to see it. I've already done one of these guys, this is my idle activity. For those who are on the Twitch stream, you might have heard already that one of my D&D games is at 1 o'clock in the morning on Thursday mornings. And so is this going to work? Here, hold on, I can show this a better way. Hold on. Is at 1 o'clock in the morning on Thursdays, and so to keep myself awake, I will usually build these guys. And so I have a pile of them over here, an even bigger pile of them down here. There's a lot of gray matter that I need to deal with, but today we're building a couple of these guys. This one is a sort of archer type lady. Kingdom Death is kind of boutique horror, so it's very scantily clad ladies in a horror situation, which honestly I'm pretty fine with, because the models are really cool and the game itself is really fucking cool despite the sexuality of it. This is the one that I just kind of finished. There's a couple smaller pieces that I need to add on, which are the teeniest hands known to man. I don't know where to put them. Ah, that's a dog hair from a dog that hasn't lived here in 3 years. Fuck. There we go. These teeny little, oh, is this one glued down? Ah, there we go. These teeny little hands. And I don't know where they go in the model. I just know that they belong there. There's no build guide for this guy, so I've just been winging it. And I think it looks pretty okay for winging it. But anyway, Insane says, are we getting a painting stream? Not yet, but I will. My next goal is to start painting them once I get them all built, because I have so many. And there's a bunch of disparate pieces that are, this guy's missing a face. I don't know where his face went. And there's a lot of just missing shit that I need to get around to at some point. So I'll be, maybe once I get them all built and I get this pile of just miscellaneous stuff out of here, I will get to painting them. But I have painted some in the past. In fact, I might be able to show you guys. You might be able to see one of my proudest ones. Well, there's a beholder and a gold dragon up there, and then somewhere up there you can see that right there, that teeny little bit of blue is a barrel mimic. There's a purple worm that I never finished, but There's a couple painted ones. This one's the, God, like the third or fourth one I ever painted in my life. I gave it like this sort of dark fantasy vibe because I really wanted to go for like a little bit of an edgier, grimier look. I haven't done any bases, but Natsu says, oh my god, did you paint one or did it come red? Red. Oh, the beholder? Yeah, I painted that. Let me see if I can get him down. There we go. I'm using my phone as a camera to orient, but yeah, this is the beholder that I painted. God, we were watching like horror videos on YouTube a long time ago in a Discord call, and I just absentmindedly, because I didn't want to watch the actual like videos, so I just went ahead and started painting this guy so I wouldn't have to keep my eye on the actual video. But yeah. Insane Russian says I tried making a greenish beholder. It's a mess. Greenish is a really good color, honestly. I feel like I like beholders, and especially the fact that they can be any color, canonically, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, you can see I did like some shininess on the inside. I did like some gradient on the tongue and then a little bit of shading on the gums. The eyes were the real hard part though. In order to get all those really tiny little like dash marks on the pupil to make it look like a real pupil, it took the teensiest brush ever. But yeah, the glossiness really worked. The scales I'm not super proud of. The spikes I feel like I could have done better on, but you know, it looks okay on camera. So, and once again, there is no base because I suck at bases. Lucas says she said canonically again. Is that going to be a bingo square? Probably. Canonically, yes. The only base I've ever done was actually at Gen Con 2023, I want to say. My first ever Gen Con before I got so busy at Gen Cons that I couldn't actually like sit around and do, you know, workshops or seminars anymore. Let's see, Nasser says I'm the same with earworms. Yeah. So this is a base that I made. It actually won a contest. Not a contest, but like everyone who was in the workshop did their own base, and mine was the best base, so I got a free mini to take home. But you can see all the flocking there, the texture. It's quite literally just a bit of corkboard pasted down onto a disc, and then with, you know, little bits and pieces of moss here and there. It's really easy. Moment Plus says, are you doing OnlyFans? No, I do have an OnlyFans, but only because I wanted to save the name so that no one else would do it. And so I took the site, claimed the handle before anyone else could, and I filled it with some pictures that haven't been posted anywhere else, so that way people would know it was me. But I even wrote on the website, like, hey, this is just so no one else takes it. But yeah, so no, I don't plan on putting one out. I have a day job, and it might put that at risk, so unfortunately, nothing of the sort, but still. Moment says, I think you should. I know I could. If I ever get fired from my day job, maybe I'll do it for the sake of it being able to keep the bills on. But also, I enjoy streaming and things like that instead. So I'll stick to doing that for now. Lucas says I should just make you a bunch of bases for minis. I enjoy terrain and junk. So I have a bunch of the flocking and stuff. I just never really, I don't know. I just never got around to like learning how to do bases, I suppose. Let me show you what I have actually, because I have a whole set of, here's the fancy dice. There's a basket down here that I really have not touched, right? It's been left mostly untouched for, God, who knows how long. And it's full of a bunch of flocking that I asked for Christmas and things like that. So we have these little like flowers that you can use for snowy terrain or springtime terrain, or just like little tufts of grass. And then there's a little bit of leftover flocking from actually that very same base that I created back in Gen Con 2023. And then I have spring grass flocking from the Army Painter. I do really like this stuff. This brand, when it comes to flocking, I absolutely love. I don't like their paints though. Same with, I have Battlefield Snow, so I could do some snow flocking, which I really need to do because I have a decent, like a non-zero amount of snowy type miniatures. I have a Frost Giant skeleton, for example. So Hexer says, hey, I watched a lot of your videos, so you seem really cool to play D&D with. Thank you. Oh my god, and these are really fun too. So there's this type of tree that you can find, which is, it's like a cone type tree, sort of. I don't have any whole ones in here, but it's almost like birch tree cones. And if you take them and then crush them apart, they turn into, here, let me turn the camera around so you guys can actually see. There's the back of my monitor. There we are. They turn into these little flecks that look like really tiny leaves, like fall leaves. So it's a really easy way to get fall leaves just out and about. I don't remember where I saw it, but I made a video of it a little while ago. It's just like birch tree cones. Dead Man says favorite paint brand. Absolutely Reaper. And I know it's a hot take because Reaper doesn't really like, they're not as popular. You can't find them in stores, so everyone goes for like Citadel and things like that. But the problem I have with Citadel is the paint pots never stay shut. And if you leave them even the teeniest bit open for about half a second, it'll dry out entirely and ruin your day. So there's there's that. But yeah, so I have a ton of Reaper paints. I can actually show you guys my setup a little bit more closely here. Most of what I do when it comes to building miniatures is I take this little desk lamp, which is just like a little touch lamp that I can change to different temperatures and different strengths. And I use that to make sure that I'm hitting all the right spots when it comes to clipping. And, you know, I just have like the basic bitch clippers. This is all my pile of unused gray matter. This stuff, I don't know where it goes to. I think this is just like fully lost. It's like, you know, bits and pieces and heads and things like that. And then this is bodies that need the finishing touches. I'm missing a lot of heads, like a suspicious amount of heads. I should probably figure that out at some point. But these guys all are just missing 1 or 2 pieces and then they're good to go. The actual setup is here. So this is essentially, so I live in an apartment. I can't paint. So what I did was I took a vinyl like sticker and then just kind of like put it down and then stuck it on and then painted the vinyl sticker. And then I put a Govee like rope light around it. And then there's these little, these are essentially like acrylic nail polish holders. So these are meant to go in nail polish studios, nail studios that are supposed to be, you know, just to show off all the colors and things like that. And so I use them for miniature paints. So I have them all like organized by color, roughly. The metallic and technical paints are up there. Same with the liquid frost, which is probably my favorite. But yeah, so that's the setup. The lighting isn't fantastic and my eyesight is even worse, so it doesn't work all the time, but still. Anyway, let's see. Josh says that's a really good idea. Yeah, so that, and I also use my, so for filing, I have, where is it? A kit that is a set of like jewelry files that you can get off of Amazon that are really tiny and really get into the little crevices to file down all those like, I guess like the mold marks and the mold lines and the imperfections. But yeah, Dead Man says those are some cool looking minis. What are they? They are from Kingdom Death. So Kingdom Death Monster is they call it like a boutique horror. It's very mature, like full on the canonical artwork, the fucking normal artwork for the game has dicks absolutely everywhere. Let me see if I can show you without getting demonetized. Kingdom Death Monster. You can look it up. It's a very popular board game. If you come to Gen Con, it's actually, holy shit, they have a xenomorph now. Hold on a fucking second. Wait, come back. Where is it? Where was that? It was just showing a xenomorph. I swear. Yeah, what? Hello? So this is the whole thing. It's a bunch of like mostly scantily clad ladies when it comes to what you immediately see on the store because that sells well. But the game itself is actually really fucking cool. Like essentially it's very gory and you play as a bunch of survivors who are trying to hunt down different monsters. You live in this world, this like completely dark world that's only lit by your lanterns and you're surrounded by these stone faces on the floor below you. And then different monsters exist in the area that you can hunt down, kill, and then scrap for supplies in order to get better and better weapons and just survive as long as you can. There's also like some amount of resource handling and that you have the population like, you know, breed with each other and there's like random events that can happen. Different monsters can attack your settlement, but the miniatures are fantastic, so. Nasser says, those shelves remind me of my MTG addiction. I'll just use a third of a shelf, a half of a shelf. Yeah. Yup. So that's what we're building today. These guys are pretty much done, honestly. I just have a couple more from the Echoes of Death, which is it's like an expansion for the game essentially from ages ago. You can see this, what I'm having trouble with right now is this gal. So she's, again, the stone faces are a really big part of the game, so you see those pretty much everywhere. And she's some sort of like, I don't know, music player? I can't remember. The Echoes of Death are like vignettes. They're like little tiny miniatures, adventures that you can go on in the game. She's got a sword and everything. She's got a cape. She's got her lantern. All of them have lanterns. And there's a bunch of hands crawling up to try and grab her, I suppose. But like, I can't figure out. I still have these extra hands. And I don't know where they go. Like you can see that tiny little face-up palm up there. I don't really know where they go, so I might just glue them on in random spots and hope for the best. But Chickadee says, what kind of paint do you use, like a brand? I use Reaper. So these are the paints. I've also added, and I think if you go to, oh shoot, I forget what it is. There's some company, I think I actually bought them from the Army Painter, but the Army Painter has a bunch of like metal balls that you can use to shake up. The Master Series paints are from Reaper, sorry. So that's the proper name. But you can use them to like, do you hear that? That clicking sound is a shaker ball inside to make sure that it doesn't get super like dried out on the inside. So those are the paints that I use. They're really cheap. I want to say it's maybe like $7 to $8 for a single thing, and you can get them in sets of like tricolors, and then also starter sets and things like that that come with a fuck ton of paints in a fuck ton of different colors. So Deadman says, I love horror. I have trouble finding cosmic horror books for 5e or 2024 with cool creatures rather. Things like Beholders just don't scratch the cosmic horror / aberration itch. Oh, do I have anything for that? I don't think I have anything for that. You might be able to, so I don't know about the state of cosmic horror per se, but I do have, there's my Gen Con badge, by the way. Go to Gen Con. So this is my shelf. I've never really shown you guys this angle, but everything that's on this layer is D&D 5e supplements. And so I have Battle Zoo, which is basically just bestiaries. I have Grim Hollow, which is horror. Deep Magic, which is, magic. Origin of Species is not a D&D module, unfortunately. Historia, which is like historical Renaissance era, but it's in a world where everyone plays as an animal. Seven Sinners is just like a bestiary. Ruins of Sambarum is dark fantasy. Tomb of Beasts also wouldn't work. There might be something in Helionas. Helionas is a bit different though. It's very much Monster Hunter style, where you have a bunch of different monsters, and for the most part, they have different life cycles, and you can hunt them at different life cycles, and then gather different supplies from them, and then use those supplies to craft new materials. I don't know if any of the monsters in here are cosmic horrors though. Let's see, the Dreamscape. No, that's like straight up dreams. So these are all, the book is thick as fuck, but it's full of a bunch of, oh yeah, this might work. Potentially, the Dreamweaver from Helionas. Potentially. It looks like something that takes place on a train and is more in the sense of like futuristic type stuff, which kind of works with cosmic horror. Let's see. Insomnium, Astral Projection. Yeah, maybe. Potentially. Yeah, here we go. Horrors, Phantasms. Not 100% in the wake of... It might be cosmic horror if you reflavor it slightly. This sort of vibe gives cosmic horror, but also the sense of cosmic horror in general is that it's like, it's impossible to fathom, right? Which means it's really hard to do. I usually stay away from cosmic horror because I just can't, like, I need something to describe, I can't just have something be like, oh, it's so unfathomable that you just get this sense of dread, and it's like, no, like, what am I looking at? Tell me, like, what do I see? When it comes to other games that 100% have like a cosmic horror vibe, it's like the only genre of horror that I don't collect. So unfortunately, it's something I can't help with. These are other games. These are not D&D related, although Darkest House could be run in D&D. Murders at Lorelac is actually 5e compatible, but it's like a murder mystery masquerade game, so not quite the same thing. Sorry, there's like no space in between here. I'll pick that up later. And then a bunch of other games, so here's my shelf, but wish I could help more. Sorry about that. Let's see. Natsu says, I'm still kind of mad at myself for buying the 2014 digital rules. Here we go. About 12 months before the release of the 2025 rules. Oh no. Yeah, the 2025 rules are a lot better. If I had to choose between 2014 and 2025, like right now, I will always steer people towards 2025. If only because the books are way more nicely laid out, they're way easier to understand, and they help so much more when you're a GM and as a player to like put more flavor into your game. So yeah, I don't know, that's always been my default, but let's see. Nasser says, even though the old rules are still what I use in my group, yeah, they really don't change. I don't know, I feel like they just haven't changed that much. Orsi says, hi, I love your hair. Oh, thank you. Oh my god. It's crusty right now. I haven't washed it in a hot sec, and it's like full of sunscreen. Wear sunscreen, by the way. Turtle says, I'm gonna learn to whittle so I can make you some handmade minis. That'd be cool. That'd be sick. I haven't seen like wooden minis before. You'd think there would be a bigger market for that. That's really smart, honestly. A bunch of feral goblins is here saying makeup tutorial. Ooh, I can do that sometime. Maybe next week. My makeup is really simple. I'm not wearing like concealer or foundation or anything, so it really is just like contour, blush, and like a cross the nose pattern, fake freckles, and then you're pretty much good. You can do your eye makeup however you want, but it's super simple. And then it makes it so I can rub my face a little bit and like my forehead and shit like that, and not have to worry about any makeup coming off. It's just greasy from sunscreen. Evan says, "Where are you from?" I'm currently located out in Bend, Oregon, but I'm originally from Portland. I got out before it got bad, but yeah, the area of Bend is pretty nice. That's pretty common knowledge too. I'm not doxing myself. It's a big enough town that I wouldn't be doxable, but it's a very fun town. I love it here so much. Like oh, it's so sunny, and there's like the river. There's a billion lakes in the area. It's just so nice. I'm a huge fan. So, but yeah. Aussie says, "You remind me of my cousin. You're so beautiful." I hope those are two separate, unrelated sentences. But Caroline says, "I love your necklace so much." Thank you. Yeah, so it's like a little sun, which is wild considering my name is Diana, and that name historically has nothing to do with the sun. But I got it from my sibling for Christmas forever ago, and it's like the only proper gold like necklace that I have. So even though my sibling and I don't get along, I kept it for the sake of the fact that it's not gonna God, what do you call it? Tarnish. It doesn't tarnish, which is nice. Mind you, I'm not a nice jewelry person, so it's the only thing I own that doesn't tarnish. So that's where we're at. It's most of the reason that you see me wearing it in the vast majority of my videos, I would say. Let's see. Chickadee says, "My players prefer 3.5 to play, so it's been a little hard finding extra stuff to include in the world for them. I've been building stats for things I can't find. There's so much more 5e stuff." Have you looked at Dragon Magazine yet? So, hold on. There's a magazine that you can look up that's really old school magazine from back when, like, TSR owned Dungeons & Dragons. And you can go to Internet Archive. If you look up Dragon Magazine, it's quite literally the second like link available. God, my fucking mic's gonna be in the way. But it's on Internet Archive, and it has all of the editions that were ever published in like essentially preview viewable PDF form. So if I click on 216, for example, or 217, this is all stuff that is, so for example, this is Spelljammer. It's related to Dungeons and Dragons. I don't remember what edition though. And so it gives you like, it's for second edition, but it shouldn't be too hard to convert from second to 3.5, and also from anything in the Dragon magazines over to D&D 5e, or at the very least to get inspiration for stuff that canonically happens in, you know, the world. There's a lot of like miniature adventures, there's a lot of like tips and tricks, there's a lot of like roll tables, new like magic items, subclasses, things like that. But yeah, I really like it. I really think that like Dragon Magazine is such an untapped resource. I need to make another video about it, honestly. Tabletop Nerd Josh says, "What made you decide to start making D&D content?" Fuck if I know, dude. I just ended up here. So I, a long time ago, really struggled to make ends meet back when I was a kid, because I was a kid. And I was really interested in D&D primarily because the way that I played it meant that I didn't need any external tools. So I didn't need to buy the books because my friend gave them to me. I didn't need to make a DM screen because I made one myself, or like buy a DM screen because I made one myself. I like printed out my own spell cards and things like that. And I worked so hard to make ends meet and to like basically lower my own barrier to this role-playing game that I was like, shit, I can teach other people how to do this. And not only that, but I watched a lot of Critical Role, and over time, taking what they did in Critical Role, where it's like a high narrative, high storytelling campaign, and using that in conjunction with all the reading I did when I was a fucking nerd as a kid and read way too much, then I would like take that and distill what they did in their actual play down to like basic story principles, and then just teach people in short format how to do it. It was just a niche that I felt like needed to be filled, you know? I didn't see a whole lot of D&D content out there that tackled issues like, oh, how do I keep my players entertained? How do I make combat not boring? You know, how do I do this? How do I do that? And especially for people who are new to the game, a lot of those concepts are really fucking hard to like grasp when you're coming at it from like always having played video games as a kid, or only watching Critical Role and never playing before, and you're like not sure how to do it. And so yeah, I tried to address that that gap, I guess, in the public knowledge, if that makes sense. Insane Russian says, oh yes, the giant DM screen. The giant DM screen. I have the new version right next to me. Here is it. Ugh. Here's one of the panels. It's been upgraded to the giant wooden form, so you guys can see like it's properly textured. It's smooth. It's got that stained glass sort of vibe. And I did keep the old one. The old one's like buried over in, I call it the nerd box. It's like a little box that I have over on one side of the office that has the old one in it. But yeah, let's see. Tabletop Nerd Josh says, how long have you been playing TTRPGs? Oh god, about 10 years now, I want to say. So I was back in high school, and again, no money. Couldn't do anything. Luke says Tucson Trading Co. Yeah, it was from Thomas. Thomas is an amazing human being, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw, he was the one who gave Barley the Burr a like handmade wooden God, it was like something edge. I forget the name exactly, but like a proper handmade wooden cutting board for his cooking streams. So yeah, he's a great person. But yeah, Gavin says it can't be a little box if it's got your DM screen in it. Yeah, so it's right there. It's pretty big. The DM screen is tucked behind it. But it's nice. It's cushioned at the top. I got a little pillow, mostly to hide all the wires from my setup for when I do streaming. But yeah. IDC says, ever been to Modern Games? Yes, so it's my primary, mostly because it's the only board game store here. And so DBC said, and green cutting board. That's it. Yeah. And so, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Modern Games. So they're wonderful people. They actually recognized me from like forever ago. And I pop in there every now and then. And every time I go in, I like have to buy a mini for myself. So I end up getting a lot of minis from them. But they're super great people. Also the fact that it's like kind of a board game bar. Like they have beer on tap. They can make you coffee, hot chocolate, things like that. Oh, it's fantastic. But I really like that spot. And the workers are really nice too. I don't know. Anyone who's nice to me. That and around the corner is one of my favorite local bars called Wildwood, which is just like this small family-owned business, and it's super cute, and the owners are actually a little bit interested in D&D, so they bought a large table for their upper loft specifically because they wanted people to come play D&D there, or they wanted to play D&D there themselves after closing and things like that, so. But yeah. Tabletop Nerd Josh says, have you played any TTRPGs that aren't D&D, and if so, do you have a favorite one? So playing them, I think my favorite absolutely by far is Dread. Dread is fantastic because it's played with a bunch of Jenga blocks as opposed to like a proper set, a roll table or a set of dice that you use to determine the outcome of things. And so essentially, whenever you try and do something in the game, you determine the outcome of what you're trying to do by pulling a block out of a Jenga tower. And if the tower falls, it means you die. And I talked about this a little bit last time on last week's stream, but it's so fucking good. It's a really good horror game. And it's really easy to set up, really easy to learn because it's permadeath. So once the tower falls, your character 100% just like fucking kicks it, right? You're dead and you can't come back. And so that means that like it's really good for parties, it's really good for one-shots. And a lot of people will have Jenga towers lying around more so than like a set of polyhedral dice or 7 sets of polyhedral dice. So yeah. Name says, I'm pretty sure you even switched the TTRPG mid-campaign to fit the situation, right? Yeah, I always encourage people to do that. I haven't seen it in practice, but there are situations where, so for example, I can show you The Darkest House is a really good example of this. So here's the set of all the board games that I own, the tabletop games that I own. There's a bunch more in my living room, but The Darkest House by Monty Cook is a really good example. And they're doing The Darkest Forest, I think it's called, or The Darkest Woods. I forget the exact name. And it's essentially a horror module where you go into a haunted house and you have to navigate your way through the rooms of the house and figure out who lived there and why there's so much family trauma within its walls, and then get out. And the thing is, the game itself doesn't have its own system. You cannot, like, you can create a character in a given system if you want to, but you're meant to import your characters from other systems. So you can take your D&D party, run them through the Darkest House, convert them to the house system, and then once they escape, then they can go back to playing D&D. So import and export of characters is something that I really hope to see going forward. Ink is the same way, where it's meant to be played after your character in a different TTRPG dies, and then you import them into Ink, and then roleplay them like living out the afterlife and trying to get back to their body. And then once you get back to your body, then you go away from Ink and back into your normal game. So, But yeah, let's see. Chickadee says my dad got me into D&D. I think what pulled me in was when we were investigating the Groundhog Day thing and we were trying to knock someone out and see if something changed. Groundhog Day campaigns are super fun. I think Andy from Margot Mott's Games is also writing one or has written one in the past. I can't 100% remember, but it was like, oh, it was so cool. It was a great concept as well, especially because it takes a couple tries for the party. I mean, it's the party figures out instantly what they need to do, but over time, whoever's controlling the time loop starts to like clue in on it. And when you do like some Undertale type shit, where some of the other members of the time loop start to realize what's going on and they start to fuck with the party, oh, it's so much fun. Gavin says, wait, there's people who don't have sets of polyhedral dice lying around. It's insane to me, the concept that people, like, if I say dice, some people just think of, like, the normal six-sided dice with pips, and they don't think about, like, a full set of crystal, like, rose quartz polyhedral dice. What a wild way to live. Chickadee says, I rolled a nat 20. My dad described it as I knocked him out of existence because he was gone when we all woke up the next day. It was the most I've seen my family laugh at something in a while. Oh, that's great. That's a wonderful story. Also, Copper says, what's that Afterlife RPG called again? That sounds wild. It's called Ink, I-N-K, from Snowbright Studios. Louis says, I'm writing a time loop now. Session 1 was going to be combat against the PVG with the TPK, just so they know the end goal. That's cool. I love that. And then Mai says, hey, Diana, are there any good ways to do D&D online or any places to do it? There's a bunch of places. Foundry is one of the more popular ones. That's got like a bunch of maps and a bunch of modules and plugins that you can download to make sure that your players can use certain spells, you know, use all their 5e abilities. You can import stat blocks and particle effects onto a 2D board and things like that. Roll20 is also really good. It's available for free. I don't like it as much because it's like a drag on people's computers for absolutely no reason. It eats up memory. Tailspire is probably my favorite. It's 3D as far as maps go. And then for like everything else, I usually just use Discord to communicate with my party members, and then we use Fantasy Plus for our music. So I can insert a Discord bot into our Discord call, and then it'll play whatever sound effects and music that I want it to, and I can control it really easily. So, but yeah, it is possible. I honestly prefer D&D online, but let's see. So I do have to skedaddle. I have an interview here in a couple minutes. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I know these little lives are short, but they're mostly experimental to start off with. I think I'm going to stick to this time frame though. This Thursday 5 o'clock time seems to work pretty well, at least on my end, and it gives me motivation to put on makeup on a day where I don't stream on the other the other platforms. So, you know. But if you have any other questions, you can also drop them in the community channel, or actually, if you drop them into questions on the Discord, I'll be able to see them a lot more easily. And also Jayhawk says, interview? Who, what? Any teaser? It'll be out this Saturday. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it though. But either way, thank you guys so much for all the good luck wishes, and it'll be a short interview, and then after that I get to go have dinner. So I'm excited. But thank you all so much for hanging out. If you haven't already, there's a link to the Discord in my link tree, and I chat a lot more frequently on there. But definitely, if you're YouTube exclusive and you don't go anywhere else, Thursdays at 5, I think, is going to be the move for these little one-on-one chats. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.